Muhammadu Buhari GCFR is the President of Nigeria, in office since 2015. He is a retired Major General in the Nigerian Army and previously served as the nation's head of state from the 31st of December 1983 to the 27th of August 1985, after taking power in a military coup d'etat. The term Buharism is ascribed to the Buhari military government. He unsuccessfully ran for the office of president in the 2003, 2007 and 2011 general elections. In December 2014, he emerged as the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the March 2015 general elections. Buhari won the election, defeating the incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan. This marked the first time in the history of Nigeria that an incumbent president lost to an opposition candidate in a general election. He was sworn in on the 29th of May 2015. Buhari has stated that he takes responsibility for anything over which he presided during his military rule, and that he cannot change the past. He has described himself as a converted Democrat. Early life. Muhammadu Buhari was born on the 17th of December 1942, in Dora, Katsina State, to his father Adamu and mother Zulaihat. He is the 23rd child of his father. Buhari was raised by his mother, after his father died when he was about 4 years old. He attended primary school in Dora and Madua before proceeding to Katsina Model School in 1953, and to Katsina Provincial Secondary School from 1956 to 1961. Military career. Buhari joined the Nigerian Army by enrolling in the Nigerian Military Training College in 1961. In February 1964, the college was upgraded to an officer commissioning unit of the Nigerian Army and renamed the Nigerian Defense Academy. From 1962 to 1963, Buhari underwent officer cadet training at Mun's Officer Cadet School in Aldershot in England. In January 1963, Buhari was commissioned a second lieutenant and appointed platoon commander of the 2nd Infantry Battalion in Abeokuta, Nigeria. From November 1963 to January 1964, Buhari attended the Platoon Commander's course at the Nigerian Military Training College, Kaduna. In 1964, he facilitated his military training by attending the Mechanical Transport Officers course at the Army Mechanical Transport School in Borden, United Kingdom. From 1965 to 1967, Buhari served as commander of the 2nd Infantry Battalion and appointed Brigade Major, 2nd Sector, 1st Infantry Division. April 1967 to July 1967, Buhari was made Brigade Major of the 3rd Infantry Brigade, July 1967 to October 1968, and Brigade Major, Commandant, 31st Infantry Brigade, 1970 to 1971. Buhari served as the Assistant Adjutant General, 1st Infantry Division Headquarters, from 1971 to 1972. He also attended the Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, India, in 1973. From 1974 to 1975, Buhari was Acting Director of Transport and Supply at the Nigerian Army Corps of Supply and Transport Headquarters. He was also Military Secretary at the Army Headquarters from 1978 to 1979 and was a member of the Supreme Military Council from 1978 to 1979. From 1979 to 1980, at the rank of Colonel, Buhari attended the U.S. Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, in the United States, and gained a master's degree in strategic studies. Upon completion of the on-campus full-time resident program lasting 10 months and the 2-year-long distance learning program, the United United States Army War College. College awards its graduate officers a master's degree in strategic studies. Other roles include General Officer Commanding 4th Infantry Division, August 1980 – January 1981. General Officer Commanding 2nd Mechanized Infantry Division, January 1981 – October 1981. General Officer Commanding 3rd Armed Division, Nigerian Army, October 1981 – December 1983. Northern counter-coup of 28 July 1966. In July 1966, Lieutenant Muhammadu Buhari was one of the participants in a coup, led by Lt. Colonel Murtala Muhammad, that overthrew and assassinated Nigeria's first self-appointed military head of state, General Aguiyi, who had assumed leadership of the Nigerian government after a failed coup attempt on 15 January 1966, which overthrew the elected parliamentary government of Nigeria. Other participants in the coup on 28 July 1966 included 2nd Lieutenant Sani Abacha, Lieutenant Ibrahim Babangida, Major Theophilus Danjuma, Lieutenant Ibrahim Bako, among others. The coup was a reaction to the January coup, where a group of mostly Igbo officers led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna and Seogu overthrew the democratically elected government of Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Many northern soldiers were aggrieved by the murder of senior politicians. Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Northern Regional Premier Amadou Bello, and 4 senior officers, Brigadier Zakaria Maimalari, Colonel Kerr Mohammed, Lt. Cols Abogo Lajma, and James Pam. The counter-coup was very bloody, leading to the murder of mostly Igbo officers. Among the casualties were the first military head of state, General Aguiyi, and Lt. Colonel Edekunle Fafuyi, the military governor of the Western region. July 1975 coup. Then Lieutenant Colonel Buhari was among a group of officers who overthrew the head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. Colonel Buhari was appointed military governor of the northeastern state after the successful execution of the coup. Governor of Northeastern State. In August 1975, after General Murtala Muhammad took power that year, he appointed Buhari as governor of the Northeastern State, to oversee social, economic and political improvements in the state. In February 1976, the Northeastern State was divided by the military government into Bauchi, Borno and Gongola states. In August 1991, Yobe State was created from Borno State, while Gongola State was split into 2 states, Taraba and Adamawa. In October 1996, Gombe State was created from Bauchi State. 1983 Chadian military affair. In 1983, when Chadian forces invaded Nigeria in the Borno state, Buhari used the forces under his command to chase them out of the country, crossing into Chadian territory in spite of an order given by President Shagari to withdraw. This 1983 Chadian military affair led to more than 100 victims and prisoners of war. December 1983 military coup. Major General Buhari was one of the leaders of the military coup of December 1983 that overthrew the democratically elected government of President Shehu Shagari. At the time of the coup plot, Buhari was the general officer commanding 3rd Armored Division of Jos. With the successful execution of the coup by General Buhari, Tunde Diagban was appointed Chief of General Staff. The coup ended Nigeria's short-lived Second Republic, a period of multi-party democracy started in 1979. According to the New York Times, the officers who took power argued that a flawed democracy was worse than no democracy at all. Buhari justified the military's seizure of power by castigating the civilian government as hopelessly corrupt and promptly suspended Nigeria's 1979 constitution. Muhammadu Buhari has denied his role in the December 1983 coup. However, the example of Major Bamadil betrays Buhari's complicity in the December 1983 coup. Nigerian military historians Maxiolan and Auro note that when Major Bamadil got wind of the coup to oust Shagari, Bamadil reported the issue up the chain of command to his GOC 3rd Armored Division, who was allegedly in on the plot. To prevent Bamadil from leaking the plot, Buhari ordered the arrest and detention of Bamadil for 2 weeks. Bamadil was not released until the successful execution of the coup. Learning from this unfortunate experience, Bamadil did not report any rumors of the so-called Vatsa coup and was executed for it. Bamadil's words to the special military tribunal that tried and convicted him were, "I heard of the 1983 coup planning, told my GOC General Buhari, who detained me for 2 weeks in Lagos. Instead of a pat on the back, I received a stab. How then do you expect me to report this one?" This trial marks the eclipse of my brilliant and unblemished career of 19 years. I fought in the Civil War with the ability it pleased God to give me. It is unfortunate that I'm being convicted for something which I have had to stop on 2 occasions. This is not self-adulation but a sincere summary of the qualities inherent in me. It is an irony of fate that the president of the tribunal, who in 1964 felt that UN was good enough to take training in the UK, is now saddled with the duty of showing me the exit from the force and the world. Head of State, Economic Policy. In order to reform the economy, as head of state, Buhari started to rebuild the nation's social, political and economic systems along the realities of Nigeria's austere economic conditions. The rebuilding included removing or cutting back the excesses in national expenditure, obliterating or removing completely corruption from the nation's social ethics, shifting from mainly public sector employment to self-employment. Buhari also encouraged import substitution industrialization based to a great extent on the use of local materials, and he tightened importation. However, Buhari's bid to rebalance public finances by curbing imports led to many job losses and the closure of businesses. Buhari broke ties with the International Monetary Fund when the fund asked the government to devalue the naira by 60%. However, the reforms that Buhari instigated on his own were as more rigorous as those required by the IMF. On the 7th of May 1984, Buhari announced the country's 1984 national budget. The budget came with a series of complementary measures: a temporary ban on recruiting federal public sector workers, raising of interest rates, halting capital projects, prohibition of borrowing by state governments, 15% cut from Shagari's 1983 budget, realignment of import duties, reducing the balance of payment deficit by cutting imports. It also gave priority to the importation of raw materials and spare parts that were needed for agriculture and industry. Other economic measures by Buhari took the form of counter-trade, currency change, price reduction of goods and services. Foreign policy. Buhari's military government continued largely with the foreign policy it inherited from Shehu Shagari. In January 1984, in his New Year broadcast speech, Buhari stated that he would maintain and enhance diplomatic relations with all countries and international organizations such as the OAU, UN, OPEC, ECOWAS and the Commonwealth of Nations. He also stated that he would honor all treaty obligations entered into by previous governments, which he did. Buhari's foreign policy also focused on Africa, mostly Nigeria's neighbors due to financial commitments. 53 suitcases saga. Buhari's administration was embroiled in a scandal concerning the fate of 53 suitcases with unknown contents. The suitcases were being transported by the Emir of Gwandu, whose son was Buhari's aide-de-camp, and were cleared through customs on June 10, 1984 without inspection during his return flight from Saudi Arabia. Human rights. According to Decree No. 2 of 1984, the state security and the Chief of Staff were given the power to detain, without charges, individuals deemed to be of security risk to the state for up to 3 months. Strikes and popular demonstrations were banned, and Nigeria's security agency, the National Security Organization, was entrusted with unprecedented powers. The NSO played a wide role in the cracking down of public dissent by intimidating, harassing and jailing individuals who broke the interdiction on strikes. By October 1984, about 200,000 civil servants were retrenched. The regime also jailed its critics, as in the case of Nigeria's most popular artist and one-time presidential contender, Afrobeat singer Fela Kuti. He was arrested on 4 September 1984 at the airport as he was about to embark on an American tour. Amnesty International described the charges brought against him for illegally exporting foreign currency as spurious. Quote, using the wide powers bestowed upon it by Decree No. 2, the government sentenced Fela to 5 years in prison. He was released after 18 months, when the Buhari government was toppled in a coup d'etat. In 1984, Buhari passed Decree No. 4, the Protection Against False Accusations Decree, considered by scholars as the most repressive press law ever enacted in Nigeria. Section 1 of the law provided that any person who publishes in any form, whether written or otherwise, any message, rumor, report or statement which is false in any material particular, which brings or is calculated to bring the federal military government or the government of a state or public officer to ridicule or disrepute, shall be guilty of an offense under this decree. The law further stated that offending journalists and publishers will be tried by an open military tribunal, whose ruling would be final and unappealable in any court, and those found guilty would be eligible for a fine not less than 10,000 naira and a jail sentence of up to 2 years. Tun Thompson and Ndaka Arabor of The Guardian were among the journalists who were tried under the decree. Decree 20 on illegal ship bunkering and drug trafficking was another example of Buhari's tough approach to crime. Section 3 provided that any person who, without lawful authority, deals in, sells, smokes or inhales the drug known as cocaine or other similar drugs, shall be guilty under Section 6 of an offense and liable on conviction to suffer death sentence by firing squad. Quote, in the case of Bernard Ogadengabi, the decree was applied retroactively. He was executed even if at the time of his arrest the crime did not mandate the capital punishment, but had carried a sentence of 6 months imprisonment. In another prominent case of April 1985, 6 Nigerians were condemned to death under the same decree. Sidi Katuteri, Sola Agante, Oladil Omosbi, Lasunkanmiye Walala, Jimmy Adebayor and Gladys Ayama. In 1985, prompted by economic uncertainties and a rising crime rate, the government of Buhari opened the borders with Benin, Niger, Chad and Cameroon to speed up the expulsion of 700,000 illegal foreigners and illegal migrant workers. Buhari is today known for this crisis. There even is a famine in the east of Niger that have been named El Buhari. One of the most enduring legacies of the Buhari government has been the war against indiscipline. Launched on the 20th of March 1984, the policy tried to address the perceived lack of public morality and civic responsibility of Nigerian society. Unruly Nigerians were ordered to form neat queues at bus stops, under the eyes of whip-wielding soldiers. Civil servants who failed to show up on time at work were humiliated and forced to do frog jumps. Minor offenses carried long sentences. Any student over the age of 17 caught cheating on an exam would get 21 years in prison. Counterfeiting and arson could lead to the death penalty. His regime drew criticism from many, including Nigeria's first Nobel Prize winner Wole Soyinka, who, in 2007, wrote a piece called The Crimes of Buhari, which outlined many of the abuses conducted under his military rule. The Muhammadu Buhari affair was another defining moment in Buhari's military government. Muhammadu Buhari, a former Minister of Transportation under the previous civilian administration of President Shagari, who fled the country shortly after the coup, was accused of embezzling $1 billion in oil profits. With the help of an alleged former Mossad agent, the NSO traced him to London, where operatives from Nigeria and Israel drugged and kidnapped him. They placed him in a plastic bag, which was subsequently hidden inside a crate labeled as diplomatic baggage. The purpose of this secret operation was to ship Dikko off to Nigeria on an empty Nigerian Airways Boeing 707 to stand trial for embezzlement. The plot was foiled by British airport officers. Buhari mounted an offensive against entrenched interests. In 20 months as head of state, about 500 politicians, officials and businessmen were jailed for corruption during his stewardship. Ahead of the 2015 general election, Buhari responded to his human rights criticism by saying that if elected, he would follow the rule of law, and that there would be access to justice for all Nigerians and respect for fundamental human rights of Nigerians. 1985 coup and detention. In August 1985, Major General Buhari was himself overthrown in a coup led by General Ibrahim Babangida and other members of the ruling Supreme Military Council. Babangida brought many of Buhari's most vocal critics into his administration, including Fela Kuti's brother Olukoye Ransom Kuti, a doctor who had led a strike against Buhari to protest declining healthcare services. Buhari was then detained in Benin City until 1988. Buhari's admirers believe that he was overthrown by corrupt elements in his government who were afraid of being brought to justice, as his policies were beginning to yield tangible dividends in terms of public discipline, curbing corruption, lowering inflation, enhancing workforce and improving productivity. Ibrahim Babangida justified his coup d'etat by saying that Buhari failed to deal with the country's economic problems and promised to rejuvenate the economy ravaged by decades of government mismanagement and corruption. However, Babangida's military government also failed to deal with Nigeria's economic problems and failed to rejuvenate the economy. Chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund. Buhari served as the chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund, a body created by the government of General Sani Abacha, and funded from the revenue generated by the increase in price of petroleum products, to pursue developmental projects around the country. A 1998 report in New African praised the PTF under Buhari for its transparency, calling it a rare success story. However, the same report also noted that critics had questioned the PTF's allocation of 20% of its resources to the military, which the critics feared would not be accountable for the revenue. Presidential campaigns and elections. 2003 presidential elections. In 2003, Buhari ran for office in the presidential election as the candidate of the All Nigeria People's Party. He was defeated by the People's Democratic Party nominee, President Olusegun Obasanjo, by a margin of more than 11 million votes. 2007 presidential elections. On the 18th of December 2006, Gen. Buhari was nominated as the consensus candidate of the All Nigeria People's Party. His main challenger in the April 2007 polls was the ruling PDP candidate, Umaru Yar'Adua, who hailed from the same home state of Katsina. In the election, Buhari officially took 18% of the vote against 70% for Yar'Adua, but Buhari rejected these results. After Yar'Adua took office, the ANPP agreed to join his government, but Buhari denounced this agreement. 2011 presidential elections. In March 2010, Buhari left the ANPP for the Congress for Progressive Change, a party that he had helped to found. He said that he had supported foundation of the CPC as a solution to the debilitating ethical and ideological conflicts in my former party, the ANPP. Buhari was the CPC presidential candidate in the 16th of April 2011 general election, running against incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan of the People's Democratic Party, Malam Nuhu Ribadu of Action Congress of Nigeria, and Ibrahim Shekarau of ANPP. They were the major contenders among 20 contestants. He was campaigning on an anti-corruption platform and pledged to remove immunity protections from government officials. He also gave support to enforcement of Sharia law in Nigeria's northern states, which had previously caused him political difficulties among Christian voters in the country's south. The elections were marred by widespread sectarian violence, which claimed the lives of 800 people across the country, as Buhari's supporters attacked Christian settlements in the country's center regions. The three-day uprising was blamed in part on Buhari's inflammatory comments, in spite of assurances from Human Rights Watch, who had judged the elections as among the fairest in Nigeria's history. Buhari claimed that the poll was flawed and warned that, if what happened in 2011 should again happen in 2015, by the grace of God, the dog and the baboon would all be soaked in blood. However, he remains a folk hero to some for his vocal opposition to corruption. Buhari won 12,214,853 votes, coming in second to the incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan of the PDP, who polled 22,495,187 votes and was declared the winner. 2015 presidential elections. In the run-up to the 2015 presidential elections, the campaign team of incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan asked for the disqualification of General Buhari from the race, claiming that he is in breach of the Constitution. According to the fundamental document, in order to qualify for election to the office of the president, an individual must be educated up to at least school certificate level or its equivalent. Buhari has failed to submit any such evidence, claiming that he lost the original copies of his diplomas when his house was raided following his overthrow from power in 1985. Buhari ran in the 2015 presidential election as a candidate of the All Progressives Congress Party. His platform was built around his image as a staunch anti-corruption fighter and his incorruptible and honest reputation. However, Buhari stated in an interview that he would not probe past corrupt leaders and that he would give officials who stole in the past amnesty, insofar as they repent. In January 2015, the insurgent group the Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta endorsed Buhari in the presidential race, saying he is the best candidate to lead the country. Muhammadu Buhari's campaign was briefly advised by former Obama campaign manager, David Axelrod, and his AKPD consultancy. In February 2015, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo quit the ruling PDP party and threw his support behind the Buhari Osunbafo ticket. On the 31st of March, incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan called Buhari to offer his concession and congratulations for his election as president. Buhari was sworn in on the 29th of May 2015 in a ceremony attended by at least 23 heads of state and government, abolishing the office of the First Lady. In December 2014, Muhammadu Buhari went on the record to say he would abolish, scrap or ban the office of the First Lady if he was elected as president, saying that it was unconstitutional. The Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta, which endorsed Buhari for the 2015 general elections, commended Buhari for his plans, when elected as president, to scrap the so-called office of the First Lady. Men went on to say that the office of the First Lady is obviously an irrelevant, fraudulent and unconstitutional office, whose only purpose is to further plunder the resources of the country. Since assuming the presidency on the 29th of May 2015, Buhari has yet to officially abolish, scrap or ban the office of the First Lady. Aisha Buhari operates from the office of the First Lady as wife of the president. Freedom of religion. Previously, Buhari gave his support for the total implementation of Sharia in the country. He was quoted in 2001 as saying, "I will continue to show openly and inside me the total commitment to the Sharia movement that is sweeping all over Nigeria." He then added, "God willing, we will not stop the agitation for the total implementation of the Sharia in the country." On the 4th of January 2015, while campaigning for the 2015 general election, Buhari stated that he favored freedom of religion, that every Nigerian should be free and secure to practice the different religions. Buhari said, "Religion must never be used as an excuse to divide us, oppress others or gain unfair advantage. All my life I have expressed the belief that all Nigerians must worship God according to the wish." Buhari has denied all allegations that he has a radical Islamist agenda. On the 6th of January 2015, Buhari said, "Because they can't attack our record, they accuse me falsely of ethnic jingoism, they accuse me falsely of religious fundamentalism. Because they cannot attack our record, they accuse us falsely of calling for election violence, when we have only insisted on peace. Even as head of state, we never imposed Sharia."